Okay, let's talk about breathing regarding stress management principles as well as pain management principles. So when we initially learn, per our last post, how to breathe properly, I think initially it's good to start off in a very relaxed position. All right, and my post talks about using bolsters, using pillows to get into a really relaxed position, because if we're trying to facilitate relaxation response, we want you to be as comfortable as possible. Okay, so let's do a pillow underneath your head. Okay. And then you can use a traditional bolster, or you can just take maybe a pillow or two. You can tape them together, belt them together, or whatever. Okay, so as far as the diaphragmatic breath goes, per our last post we talked about, when you breathe in, the abdomen or the diaphragm actually moves down, and the stomach actually protrudes outwards, and that's the effect that you want to get when you do a full, complete diaphragmatic breath. Okay, so let's have Heather do this just to show you guys, and then relax. Okay, and then again, all the way up. So you can see, rising here, there's a subtle expansion of the lower rib cage and a subtle expansion of the upper rib cage. What you don't want to have happen, as the post talks about, is you don't want to have any shoulder shrugging. You don't want to have any sort of muscle contractions occurring through here, because people they'll use all these accessory muscles to help take a deep breath, which that's improper. It's an improper breath. It actually facilitates and perpetuates the whole stress reaction. People that are in stress have a lot of muscle issues up top. Okay, a lot of tightness, a lot of pain syndromes of trapezius, neck, headaches, things like that, and that can all be as a consequence of improper breathing and a lack of proper stress management things during the day. Okay, so when we're learning a diaphragmatic breath, some people have a hard time because they're so used to breathing up top here that they don't know how to engage their diaphragm. So what we'll do, and you can certainly try this yourself, if you just can't get this stuff, is, our first thing we do in the clinic is just take and place your hands here, maybe both on both sides, okay? And I want you to really think about, when you take that breath in, having that stomach come up and push into your hands, okay? So you kind of feel the rising here. Sometimes we'll even take one here and one there if they really have a hard time with this. Now when you take a deep breath, I don't want this to move. That should stay perfectly still, and this should rise up and down. Okay, and she obviously does it very well, so she doesn't need the extra assistance here. Okay, but if you do, this is really hard for you to do. This is where you start. Some people will you can actually facilitate more of a breath from the diaphragm, placing both arms overhead. Okay, and then try it again. This helps to engage, helps to kind of down-regulate and slacken the muscles up top. Okay, to put most of the stress, or not the stress, but most of the activity into the diaphragm. Okay, and if that's still not enough, maybe there's too much stress on her abdominal muscles. So let's have her bend her knees up a little bit more. Okay, all the way through. Okay, and right there. So she's slackened up top, and now she's slackened in her abdominal region, and then same sort of idea. All right. Then you can apply these same principles. You can do this, and then maybe place a hand down here, and even put some weight down into the hand. So push a little bit down into your belly. Okay. Now you take a breath, push against the resistance of your hand. Okay, and back down. I'm going to talk you through some options, and I'm not quite sure where you're going to be at this point as far as the training goes. But you try one thing, doesn't work, add the next thing. Maybe it's the combination of things, for certain people. You could also take and place hands up top, and then take a weight. This is a 3-pound cuff weight. You attach these to arms or legs doing exercises, and place this over the stomach. And now you have another resistance source over the belly. So diaphragm moves down, weight should push up. And having that extra weight down there just gives the body a little bit of extra stimulus to have something to push against. All right? All right? And then same sort of idea. If she just can't calm down what's happening up top. Sometimes if you put a weight up on top, women, it's a little bit tougher than guys, of course, with this. So when you take a breath, this should move. Okay, this should help to stabilize the rib cage as she goes to take a breath. And take like an upper respiratory breath. If that stuff starts to happen, then you know that you're doing this improperly. Okay, we're loading the upper rib cage to prevent you from moving. Okay, and sometimes having the weight on there makes it easier to see if something's happening up top there as well. Okay, so all kinds of options there for you. All right, now let's talk about, let's have you put your arms up by your side again. Okay. When you go to breathe in, my post talks about being a low, slow, diaphragmatic, or low nose diaphragmatic breath. Okay, meaning low activity here through your nose using your diaphragm. Okay, and this is more you're trying to do a breathing technique to try to calm down the stress reaction. Okay, versus taking just a deep breath for the sake of taking a deep breath. Because in some circumstances, when we take a deep breath, we actually start to bring in all the other accessory muscles. And people that are under a stressful situation will use as much as they possibly can and will become very much engaged in the process. So they might take a deep breath and all this other stuff becomes very reactive. So we're trying to do just the opposite with this training here. We're trying to work on stress management and stress breathing principles. Okay, so when we're doing this, mouth is closed, breathe in through the nose, no movement here, only movement down there. And when we do this, eyes closed. Okay, in between each breath, so every time she exhales, a great stress management technique is to concentrate and to focus on that subtle short pause in between the end of your breathing out and the start of your breathing in. Okay, when things are calm. Okay, you want to always focus on that calm and that stillness of your breathing cycle. All right. One more technique. Let's have you hands maybe both like this. Actually, you can rest your arms down. It could be up on your belly. It could be down. Maybe just down by your side is fine. Okay. When you're trying to retrain the sense of am I contracting muscles? Is stress causing a contraction of tissue? Okay. When we're under stress, things tend to people raise their shoulders or they feel a lot of tension or contraction in their lumbar spine. You want to train yourself to remember, because some people just forget this stuff, what it feels like to have something contracted versus something relaxed. Okay, so I'll have my patients actually before they start their breathing, I'll have them just make a fist and try to clench and hold 5 seconds and then release. And then that's a whole idea. You want to focus between what it feels like to be contracted versus what it feels like to be relaxed. And then this whole idea of, and this is, you might get a little bit Buddhified with this, but this whole idea of you want to bring that sense of relaxation from this contraction to this relaxation to wherever in the body you have pain, whether it be your neck, whether it be your back. So if it feels like things are tense this way versus relaxed this way, you want to kind of bring that to whatever part of your body that you're sensing pain. It's that idea of you're trying to down-regulate, you're trying to calm down, you're trying to make more still the entire system. Okay, so I'll have people do that just maybe 3 or 4 times, and then release, and then eyes closed in the whole process, and then we go right back to our stress breathing again. So in through the nose, low activity here, diaphragm rises up and rises down. Okay, and this is that, when it comes down to the whole idea of trying to, the consistency of performing this activity. It should be 1 to 2 times a day at a minimum, at least once a day, doing this stuff. In a room where you can be by yourself, turn the lights off, hopefully have it be quiet, and you want to work on these principles. 10 to 15 minutes is usually fine. And then once you master this in this position here, we have people get up and do it in sitting. Okay. Hopefully driving, you're not going to close your eyes, but it's the whole idea. If you want to make sure that if you can remember the principles of down-regulation, of what it feels like to be relaxed versus tense, these are things that can help you to manage your stress throughout the entire day. So not just as you're doing this stuff, you're doing this stuff to retrain your sense of calmness and stillness in your life. And hopefully by practicing, that'll happen to you as well. And I think that's good. Thanks a lot.